Hello everyone, this is Darcenove here. This is my review of the 7th book of the Jedi Quest series called The Shadow Trap. Now, there's some things I'm going to mention in this book that's going to be huge spoilers. So, if you don't want spoilers for this particular book and Jedi Apprentice, I suggest you click off now. But if you don't care for spoilers, then continue watching. The reason why I'm bringing up spoilers because something towards the end of this book stands out for me, and it makes me want to read the next few books, considering the main villain, Goteka Omega, is wow. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of stuff that happened in this book for me. At least that's enough for me to talk about it. If you've seen the last video, you'll know that the what happened towards the end of the last book. That I have to spoil that too. Anakin and Obi-Wan, you know, they're having a difficult time. The bond between them is waning. Just like what happened with, you know, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon after, you know, the end of of one of the story arcs in Jedi Apprentice, and they didn't mend their bond again until book 8. Well, the thing I really love about this book is it actually it's a continuation of a storyline that actually started with the second book of Jedi Apprentice. What do you mean by that? Well, if I'm so glad I've actually read, the Star Wars Jedi Dark Side, which talked about the origin of Xanatos. Now, why am I bringing up Xanatos? I haven't talked about this character, in like 3 years since I reviewed, the Jedi Apprentice novels. It's been 3 years since I even reviewed that arc. The reason why I'm bringing Xanatos up because Golgotha Omega is related to him. He's his son, which makes it even more of a continuation of Jedi Apprentice, considering the past is coming back to haunt Obi-Wan, and this time Obi-Wan has to face Xanatos' son, and I really love that towards the end of this book. It gave hints in the other books that he has a vendetta against Obi-Wan, but it's not revealed until this one why that is. Considering that this is more than halfway through the series, I think a major, plot twist was appropriate in this book. Also, Anakin, another thing that's notable about this book is Anakin Skywalker has a vision about, him, freeing slaves, and which also foreshadows what's going to happen to one of the Jedi Council members, Yodi. Who's Yodi? Well, if you've seen Episode 1, you'll notice you'll see a character that looks like a female Yoda. Well, Yodi dies in this book, so if you're wondering why she isn't in Episode 2, well, this pretty much explains it. Which is nice that, the expanded universe went out of its way to answer such questions, even if it wasn't necessary. Now, it's considering that this is like the 7th book in the series, like I said earlier, after the 4th book, you kind of have to read everything, considering this is like one continuous story. I would not be surprised if the thing with Anakin and Obi-Wan will probably not get resolved until the next book or the book after that. And one thing I really like about this book is it does show the human side to Obi-Wan Kenobi, because Obi-Wan is still, he's not who you see eventually in A New Hope. And one thing I really like about these novels, I actually view these as more as Obi-Wan's story rather than anything else. Because I feel like the story of the Jedi Apprentice and Jedi Quest novels is about Obi-Wan's story more than it is about Anakin. Because the ongoing progression, from an impatient teenager to an adult that's struggling to train a Padawan who's still, even in his 30s, struggling with his with his temper. And I think this is good. It makes Obi-Wan seem more human, more real, and it makes it who he is at the time you see him in Episode 2. It's like it makes you realize how far he has come as a person. And also, another thing about this book, I think it also foreshadows Anakin's fall to the dark side. Because Anakin, didn't know how to cope with the death of Yoda. He felt responsible. He felt there's more that he could have done. And this also shows something about Anakin. Of course, I think the main theme of these books, it does showcase that Anakin's fall to the dark side is assured, considering some of the traits that he has. He's not willing to let things go. And this book, I feel like it shows it. I mean, this is like 7 years before he becomes Darth Vader. So, yes, I think this book does do a good job at foreshadowing future events. And considering this was published in 2003, this is probably when the EU was at its best, considering all the connections. This connected back to a previous story, like earlier in the EU. Honestly, I cannot recommend this enough. Read this story as well with the others. I can't say any more. I give this a classic rating. You're not going to regret it. Next time, I'm going to talk about the 7th book in the series. Later, people, and may the Force be with you always.